Welcome to the Never Been Promoted podcast and YouTube channel. I'm on a mission to help you cut the time to all the things that are holding you back so you can unleash your entrepreneur. Hey, welcome back. Thomas Helfrich here, host of the Never Been Promoted podcast YouTube channel. We're going live once again. Today we're going to meet with Donna Tashjian. I think I said it right. I feel like she'll beat me up if I said it wrong, but that's okay, because she's going to tell me why. It's nice to see everybody here, everybody. Thank you. As you guys are watching, listening, have questions, drop comments. If this is your first time here, know our mission is to help entrepreneurs get better at entrepreneurship. And we're doing this through the journeys of others, but specifically learning how to kind of cut the tie to, see what I did there? The metaphor? Cut the tie to all the stuff that's holding you back. The people maybe in your life, the sense of entitlement you might feel, the excuses and fears you might make or hold on to. If you really want to be successful on your own terms, you're going to have to let that stuff go. You're going to have to cut the tie. And today we have a really good guest for that. Now, she's the founder of, I'm butchering this, sorry, Vibrant Living International, and life coaching, how to live a powerful, spiritual, and authentic life. And if you can do this, your just sense of purpose is going to be incredible, which is going to really give you clarity and even clairvoyance in what you're doing. So I'm going to bring Donna on in 1 second, because I have one call to action. I want you to go to youtube.com at Never Been Promoted and give it a subscribe if you haven't done that. And if you like the podcast, maybe you're listening to this, go to Apple, Spotify, whatever favorite player is, and do the 5-star review. It means so much. It only takes a few minutes, and it helps build the community and helps our mission. If you don't like what we're doing, give me a suggestion and go to Thomas Helfrich here at LinkedIn and tell me about it. You can get nasty in DM. I don't mind. I'll listen to it. But if you love it, tell me too. Enough of all that shameless stuff. Let's bring on Donna. Donna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Thomas. How are you?
Good. Tashjian. Did I say it right?
You did say it right. Congratulations.
I want to say Tashjian.
People want to say a lot of things.
Tashjian. Yeah, nice to meet you. And you're the founder of Vibrant Living International, and you're in the life coach business up in Michigan. And you were telling me offline that you're already ready for winter. And it's summer.
I didn't say winter. I did say fall. I said sweater weather. There's a difference.
Well, so in Georgia, sweater weather is winter.
Well, yeah, no.
I missed a little bit. But before we get going here, let's do a little icebreaker of some sorts. Mm-hmm. What is the best thing, and what's the worst thing about Michigan? It's a loaded question, I know.
The best thing is probably the Great Lakes. We're surrounded by the Great Lakes, and so we have more freshwater lake frontage than any other state. So that's one of my favorite things. Worst. The winters can get a little long. That could probably be the worst. Yeah.
I mean, they just ended like a week ago, I think.
Very funny.
And all the mosquitoes hatched, and now you have state birds everywhere. It's great. I'm just, I don't even make this stuff up. This is all just true stuff here. All right. If you could tell us a little bit about kind of just, what you're working on right now, and give us the amount of kind of backstory, the kind of how you got there.
All right. And how long do we have?
For this part, let's go 2 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
A little about 40 minutes for the whole thing, but if you want to spend the whole thing about your background, I'll sit here.
That's the thing that I'm working on right now. My focus that's been building in my journey, I guess you would say, is my spiritual intelligence method and how that changes everything. And so that is where I'm currently working, and how everything is birthed first with a thought, and then it becomes a thing. And so how does all of that look? And we can explore that in our conversation. But I didn't start there. On my journey of life, I was, in my own eyes anyway, one of the least likely person to be doing what I'm doing today. I did not feel confident or secure. And in my beginning days, I was a teenage mom and it wasn't consensual. So there's a story there, of course, and learning how to believe in yourself and be confident. But at a pretty young age, I found myself just by accident, not necessarily on purpose, where I would be sitting with women and they would be telling me their stories. And it just continued over my lifetime till I recognized the gift that God had placed in me to give wisdom to people that were going through life and the things that life can deal out. And my favorite thing I call is I want to stop identity theft. That's the word when I talked about being authentic, to being completely authentic. And so many things in life try to steal our identity. So that's a little bit of my beginnings.
When you say identity theft, you're going beyond like credit card stuff.
I am not. I am not talking about money.
Got it. And so, you're, we can go over how you like with it too, but you've clearly overcome massive adversity and just turmoil. And talk about what you're doing now though. So like specifically, like, who do you work with? How do you help them?
I predominantly work with women, but in my group coaching and then in my one-on-one coaching, I have men that I coach as well. And the way that I like to put it is I want to help you discover what your purpose is, what you really want to do, and then how to actually do it. Working with me, you will double your confidence, your clarity, your peace, and your productivity in a very short period of time. I usually say 12 weeks. So wow, helping people to do that is what I do every day.
You could transform yourself pretty amazingly, and everyone comes from different spots, right? But for example, like, I just got done. Today's my last day of this thing called the Hard 75, and it's 75 days of workout thing, and it's kind of like a more of a mental challenge than anything else. Mm-hmm. But in 75 days, I've added reading to my everyday. I've added, like, you do things, and that's like a 10-week, 11-week period. And in what you're describing, in a 12-week period, you could take from whatever state you're in now.
Yes.
And just feel more confident, more alive, more like with purpose. Okay, so I have to dive into that. Let's go into that. So what's kind of the number one roadblock that people face to get there?
The number one thing that I have noticed, whether we actually admit it or not, is self-confidence. And normally my self-esteem, and I'm using myself as an example, comes from my performance, how well I'm doing, what kind of results I'm getting, and what other people think about me. Now, if you think about that, that's a pretty shaky place to build your self-esteem.
Yeah.
But most of us, that's what we do. Is so if I'm getting enough likes, if I'm getting enough this, if I seem to be getting good performance, and that's usually tied to how much social media in today's society, all of that. And if I'm building my self-esteem and my worth on those two things, it can be pretty shaky. So where are we building our confidence from? And really learning who we are. One of my best mentors said to me, Donna, you are a gift to the world. And the person who is going to be most surprised is you of what is in that gift. And I have to say that that's absolutely true, because I never thought I would be a speaker. Oh, but I love it. And so learning that there is more in us than we realize, because people or circumstances have put ourselves have put limitations on us. So confidence and really knowing who you are and growing and allowing yourself to grow in that is one of the biggest areas for vibrant living.
So in your own journey, right? Or as you're taking someone on a journey, I'll say it that way first. Walk me through it. Like, I'm so if I feel like I'm generally a confident person now, right? Not like, and I don't mean me, like just in general, are you saying that same person, even if you feel great, can even double it again? Or,
yes.
Or are you, oh, wow. So, all right. So take me through it. Let's get some free consulting for people. Let's, here we go. Listen up, how to double your confidence in 30 minutes.
Oh,
What's
well,
the process for that? And is it, cookie cutter, or is it, just
no,
take us
I
through it.
mean,
Take me through that journey.
there's no people that are cookie cutter, so you know the answer to that before you ask it. There's no
No,
cookie
I'm
cutter.
giving you softballs. That's what I like to do here.
So what is an area that you would like to grow in confidence? If
Oh
you're
man.
really honest, now you're live, so you're going to be bearing your soul in front of everybody. You ask for it. So what is some area that when you're all by yourself, I mean, you can look confident in public and not be confident.
This is funny because my wife is in HR, and I said, would this be a bad job interview answer to what's your weakness? And I said, what if it was pillow talk was my answer? I was really, really weak and unconfident in the pillow talk zone. I thought I'd do that because I use humor as deflection as I think. All
I
right,
noticed.
where would I like to be more confident? I would honestly, I don't do a lot of solo shows. Let's just say from a business standpoint. So let me tell you, I have a podcast. I love doing the interviews because I can interact and banter and do this. Where I think I'd want more confidence specifically is around going to do solo shows on topics where like, I feel like I know my areas and some stuff, but even then I know I'm not probably the best person in an area, though I probably know it 99% better than most. I find that I struggle, believe it or not, going out and speaking solo on YouTube or on those because I don't feel like maybe I'm still the best person to go do it, even though I know more than most. I just, that's an area of confidence where I'd be like, all right, I could benefit from that.
Okay.
Does that help? Is that a good enough example?
Absolutely. And we'll keep going with this
And
example.
I respect the fact that I said, let's go live. So I have to eat my own dog food right now.
You do.
Actually, no. I drink my own champagne.
And you asked me to do this, so here we go. So when you think about doing your own solo show, what happens in your body? In 5 minutes, you're going to go live on your own solo show.
I'm unprepared is probably what the answer to
Okay.
because I don't do it because I'm like, maybe I should prepare something. Nothing really. It's just kind of like, it's almost like it's almost called imposter syndrome, but it's like almost like, should I really go do this? Kind of comes up.
Yeah, it's that self-doubt stuff. And
yeah, a little bit. I'd say that's a good way to put it. Self-doubt, it kind of chips away at you, and then you get distracted on other things you find important.
So in doing this in like 3 minutes, so if you were to do that, what would you need to believe instead of the self-doubt?
I would need more likes and views. See what I did there? I tied that right in.
I know, but you're deflecting again. That's
no,
not
I mean, seriously though, if you got some like social media back.
What was the question?
I don't know.
What do you need to believe?
I have to believe that what I'm saying has value to the audience.
All right. Now, how does that feel when you think about it in your body? Do you feel when you say, I do have value?
I do. There's another problem with this, though. Believe it or not, I actually don't want to be on social media. At my inner core, I guess this counts for social media now because it's just part of the podcast because I'm doing it live. But normally I'm only on social media maybe an hour total a week.
Yeah.
Like total. Because I don't watch news. I don't really like it. I stay
what's
away.
The purpose of going live on YouTube for you?
So the purpose is production. So to be fair, not that is because we film so many in a week, and people sponsor their own episodes. We can't get them out fast enough. We cannot get the initial thing out quick enough because it's just too many. So this is just purely to satisfy production. But I want to touch as many people as possible who struggle with entrepreneurship or struggle becoming one. To do that, you have to get out there. You have to be out there as much as possible. And so to answer your question, the self-doubt comes from almost like a fear of sucking. Like you don't want to suck. And so I think that's where the roots come in is just getting over that piece of it.
Yeah. And one of the things that I take people through is what does being visible and being seen mean? At the level that your initial response is, whether you admit it or not, right? But I think you will, is that you're afraid of sucking. And so you kind of think you will. So that's really what you believe.
Not without a base of knowing, because this is all kind of new to us, is, and a lot of people face this, right? You're afraid to create content. You're afraid to get out there because you haven't done it before. But you're like, I don't think I'd suck because I actually know what I'm talking about. But it's coming down to it's easier to have a conversation because you can drive conversation than it is to sometimes just take the floor and talk about something. I think the answer to that might just be preparation, to be honest, to be fair with you, because I'd be doing it if I was better prepared.
Yes.
At least that's what YouTube strategy
The
tells
first step in doing anything is preparing the capable as much as you can, but there gets to be a level where you have to do it and learn, just like your first podcast.
Right.
Even though you had a guest, your first podcast is not the same as what you're doing today. You are more comfortable, even in a conversation, in an interview. I know I've had a podcast for 5 years. My first interviews were kind of like, trying to figure out.
Gotten past that. No, you're right. So your level of confidence.
And so it's
comes
the
up
same
with
way with going live by yourself. Because I did the same thing in the beginning. I had guests, and then I'm like, I have things I have to share. And so I began to do my own episodes, and they were, it was preparation and stuff, but began to do that. So we don't have time to go into all of the things that I do in my program, but you get an idea of changing your beliefs, of what you're believing. What can you do to eliminate as much of the fear as possible, which is preparation, if we're talking about it. But really going into what do you want? And you didn't really answer the question when I said, why are you doing your podcast? Why are you going live?
The podcast is simple. I want to help entrepreneurs get better at entrepreneurship because you feel alone. It's hard. You want to cry in a corner every 30 minutes. Like, people need to aware that is not an alone feeling. Everyone who goes to entrepreneurship that I've met admits it. And they say, yeah, oh my gosh, like, in a great day, you'll have, by noon, you want to take a nap because you feel like you've worked the week, but it doesn't feel like work. And so I want people to know that there's a bigger piece, right? I believe the world needs more entrepreneurs. In particular, US, I think, needs more entrepreneurs. It gives us such an advantage. And I want to help create as many as possible that never knew that they could. And so that million I want to help don't exist. They're not out there today, or they're not doing it very well. That is the goal. To do that, you got to get out there. You got to put yourself out there in front of people and talk about stuff.
And therefore you do too.
I do the YouTube on the internets, on the lines.
But there are ways that you probably need to continue to expand and grow, because this is now comfortable. And so doing your own single, just you speaking podcast episodes would be a next step. But there is a continuation of you setting an example of helping people to grow and to be more visible. I remember the first time I began to really do stuff to be visible. Being visible for me with my childhood and past was not okay. It was not ever a good thing when somebody noticed you. And I had that to overcome. And what did being visible? Being visible, my boss would say, Donna, could you come in the office? And my stomach would drop, figuring I was in trouble. And there was nothing I had done to be in trouble, because that was my past. Being seen meant you were in trouble or something was wrong. And I had to change that perspective on what I believed about that. And I remember the first time I went to an in-person networking event, and I had 3 or 4 people walk up and say, hi, you're Donna. I know you from online. I've never met these people. And I'm like inside going, is this a good thing? Is this a good thing? My eyes are kind of, it happens every day now. But in the beginning, and now it's like, yes, it's not a big deal. But in the beginning of learning how to be more visible, to stretch and grow, to do what you actually would love to do, is all part of wanting to be an entrepreneur. Every entrepreneur wants to make the world a better place in some way or fashion. But unless you deal with you won't be able to complete the vision that you have in your heart. I had to get better about what I believed, what I saw, be more authentic. Yep. Be goofy if it's me. Be whatever I am, but be me.
What's
and
crazy?
That's where the power is.
And if you want to get into your story, by all means do, because if it helps set your expertise and where you came from, and if you don't think it's relevant, then don't. But I'd love to hear, to some degree, because I'm consciously aware that I've had very few tragedies or just adversity, like the issues that I've had to deal with in life, are like people would sign up left and right for that. Cause it's not that like, I came from a wealthy, it's not like that or anything like it, but I just have like, I just never had it hard. I've always worked hard, and there's plenty of people. And it sounds like you have gone through this nightmares to have to dig out of that hole to get to where you are. I'd love if you can't speak to that a little bit, because there's people who come from just like they're on this channel who come from nothing, like they have nothing. They've grown up and literally almost like outside, like, right, like horrible conditions relative to what they could see on their phone in a second, and the world lives to be. The people who've been abused, and there's people who've just been cheated on and by partners, or it's all over. I don't have any of that, so my problems are like tiny, small, like get off your ass, go do it kind of stuff. How do you deal with, though, from a perspective of a much deeper, in 12 weeks? I'm going to go back to that. Like, can you speak to that when like the problems aren't like, hey, I'm just uncomfortable. I'm barely uncomfortable with what I just described. I wouldn't even call it as like a lack. Like there's still confidence. It's just not there. Yeah. You're talking about taking people down here.
Yeah, I can do both. Yes. What my first signature program was called Turn Your Baggage into Luggage, so you can have the life you've dreamed, and helping people to overcome abuse, trauma, loss, all kinds of disappointment is one way I word it, because disappointment, it causes pain. And so how do we discover who we really are in spite of all of these? Because there was all kinds of labels put on a teenage mom in the error that it happened to me. It wasn't okay. It didn't matter why. And so there was all kinds of labels and expectations that were now placed on me, and I was going to prove everybody wrong. And I have. But learning how to help people walk through a signature process to turn their baggage into luggage, so it can be something that's even a springboard to help you accomplish what is ever in your heart. Nothing that happens to us necessarily is wasted. We didn't always choose it, but we can use it. I call them gifts wrapped in sandpaper. They're not fun, and they're not exciting, and you don't go, yay, I always wanted this. But there is something we can learn. There is something that we can grow. And God and my faith is one of the reasons I'm standing here today, because I don't know that I would be alive if I didn't have that. But helping people to tap into their source of strength, helping people discover who their true identity is. And it isn't based on your circumstances. We put labels like divorced or abused or trauma, but those labels do not have to define you unless you let it. The word I always said is, my past does not determine my future unless I let it. And whether you've had serious stuff or you've had a normal life, we still doubt ourselves. And so helping people to see the bigger picture, to develop their spiritual intelligence so that they can learn who they really are and what are the laws that are in place to be able to accomplish more from a place of ease instead of struggle. And it doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah. I mean, and everyone's got different levels of, when you say double, right? There's loss, if you're a level 1,
yes,
to 2, and
start somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. The 2 becomes a 4 and stuff. And I think there's also the idea that you may take 2 double steps forward and still return 30% at times. You might go like this and come back and like this. But you're talking about creating almost like a method to get out of it. And then is there a system that happens after to help you grow from there? Like yes. After the 12 weeks, can you talk about that a bit? Because like you got to get an initial mindset correct.
Yeah.
Ready. And I'll frame that. So the metaphor of cut the tie, right? To people is a big piece, because that's who the labels exist with.
Yes.
You're like, I don't think of that something's happened to me. It wasn't my fault. Maybe it was. But to get rid of the label, sometimes you got to exit out of, and this could be family members. Like you've got to redefine something. So talk about maybe that a bit, because that's like the hardest one, I think, if anything, is those with the labels that you need and care for. They're supposed to care for you in your life or something. So I just maybe talk to that a little bit.
realizing, like one of my clients said, if I expanded and did really well, I felt like my siblings were sad. And so if I grow, well, that is making them sad. So I got to not shine as much so that they're not sad. We have all kinds of beliefs that we create around circumstances that happens to us, no matter what kind of circumstances. So the first step is the question that I ask is, what are you currently believing? A lot of times we don't even realize that stuff is there. Like, she didn't realize that she had held herself back because of her siblings. So understanding and uncovering what is really the truth. I am a lie exposer so that the truth can shine. So the first step is what am I actually believing? And the next is, what do I want to replace it with instead? That sounds super simple, but I provide the support and the framework for that to begin to take place deep in your subconscious so that you can truly begin to believe what the truth is about you and that you can shine, as opposed to hiding your light for whatever reason. Did that answer your question?
I think so. I think, and it's coming down to some things you said, which is being very honest with yourself. Also, and being comfortable, discussing the things that have happened as well. Take me through like maybe a success story, if you will. I think that's, and it can be extreme if you want, but just take me through like really, this is how it started and this is where she is now.
Well, one of the women that I'm still working with, but she is a success story, grew up with a mother that had mental illness, and she was having to do a lot of caretaking at a very young age, a lot of responsibility that shouldn't have been placed on a child's shoulder. She developed her own health issues and through all of that. So that's where she was coming from. And she is then married someone that was domestic violence and beat her and all kinds of stuff. Got out of that, is married again, and still struggling to believe in herself. She works in commission sales. And so her finances were always a struggle, believing in herself, waiting for the other shoe to drop, preparing for the worst to happen. All of that is where she started. Depression, health issues, all of that. Now, today, just this year, the first quarter of this year, she made as much in her income as she had in the 3 quarters of last year. And she is also improving her health. She's taking daily activities to be able to improve her health. She'd done a whole lot of work one day, and she went and got on the scale, and she had actually gained weight. And she said, I started to cry. She said, but I remembered all the things I've been learning and all the tools that I had. And what would have normally sent me to bed with depression for days, I went in my office and closed my door and rehearsed where I was going, what was really true about me. And I was in there for a while, and then I faced the day with a smile. She says that before it would have devastated me. But I'm learning the tools to believe in myself. I'm increasing my income. Her relationships are being restored with family members, all kinds of things. When you learn the tools and the laws that are in place to really know what the truth is so that we can stop believing lies, it affects every area of your life. And that's just one story.
Man, that is. And it's interesting because, like, physical pain, I'll give you an example, right? That'll change your mood, your mindset, your sleep, like, and it just wears you down, and you feel like it's there. We've all been through it, and you can feel how that does. What people don't say, it's on the inside pain, how it also just affects everything else as well, without it being something that actually hurts. And what you just described there is someone who that pain, like, it came back up, right? Someone had pushed the wound, or but had a tool to be like, it's gratefulness, it's mindfulness, and some things that, like, she applied there. Like, that's not the end of the world. Like, whatever, I can, I know that I'm in a better spot. that's a beautiful thing, and that's hard to learn. I mean, that's a that's a difficult spot to be. Uh, One metric, though, it's funny. I always look at sometimes metrics, and I give you the example of the hard 75 thing I just did, this workout thing. People ask me, how much weight did you lose? And I didn't set out to lose any really weight. I set out to get stronger.
Mhm.
And and it's also was funny because in the middle of this, I was like, you look at the metric you set for yourself and like your apps and stuff. You're like, oh, I wanted to lose 20 pounds, and it's been in there forever. It's been the wrong metric.
Mhm.
It's not. And so when you say like she had tripled her income, you got to get some kind of steady level, but it's also the wrong metric.
Yeah.
It's looking at your income is a really maybe you share an opinion, but I think it's a slippery slope for business people to measure their success on. You got to make something, but man, stuff's going to vary. It's not a W-2 job. I mean, you're gonna be all over the map. So how do you help people where they're fixated on success and the metric of money?
Well, is redetermining what success really is. What do you want at the end of your life? What do you want to be known for? One of my favorite books is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I read that in my teenage years. And chapter 2 is begin with the end in mind. What do you want people to say if you were to write your own eulogy? And is lots of money really what's important to you? Money is a tool that helps us to accomplish more. It's more of a metric. It's because it can fluctuate in most entrepreneurships, but understanding that it's also a tool to be able to use. So what is it? With women, or even you talked about losing weight. Wow, I'm so glad that she was a size 8 or he was this, he could lift this much. Is that really that important at the end of your life? Exactly. What is success to you? What would determine that at the end of your life, you feel like you have no regrets? I call it a no regret living. How do we live with no regrets? So we lived full out, 100%, being who we are. And, as the song goes, if you get the chance, dance. And living that way, if we measure success as that, then yes, money's needed, but I'm not down if sales were down. I do the activities I need, but I'm doing them from a place I know who I am, not I've got to prove something anymore. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. And when you come from that place, you're coming from a place of empowerment. I talked about that. From a place of strength, of confidence, joy. All of that is part of it when you know what success is, who you are, and work from that place.
That's wonderful. First of all, who do you want to get a hold of you? What's the best way to do that?
The website that you shared is probably one of the best ways. They're right on that website. There's a place people can schedule a free consultation. They want to go deeper into what is going on with them. That would be the best place. And you can also connect with me on social media if you'd like.
Wonderful. And who should do that though? Like, is it someone who's struggling with the confidence to move forward? Like, what would be how is someone feeling, or what's the trigger that's on their mind right now where you can, like tomorrow you'll feel better kind of person you need to meet?
The person that wants to do more in the world, who wants to make a difference in the world, and they want to learn how to actually do it the easy way. There is a way where it doesn't have to be hard. So people who want more, they may not be seriously struggling. There could be some of that, but they're wanting to accomplish more in the world. And I call it from a place of ease. So learning how to do it that way is be the perfect person to talk to.
Wonderful. Now, do you need books or any on the way?
There'll probably be a new one in the works. I've written 4 so far. And one of my favorite is The Key to Transform Your Life. It's available for sale on my website. Not the one that's up. I have another one too, but I could share that later on. And it is a book of why the words we speak are important, and it gives you 30 days of declarations to change your life. So that's that book.
Those help. You change your mindset. I don't call it fake it before you make it. It's more of like, surround yourself with goodness, if you will, and eventually you see good.
Yeah.
And I say that just as somebody who's been on a faith journey, and I'm not going to be selling Bibles or knocking on doors or asking anybody who's found Jesus. That's not going to be me anytime soon. But finding faith and we've put our kids in this environment of just good. And I see the changes now here a couple of years where people are starting to have different thoughts, or having different ways of interacting, or moments of pause. And I think what you're describing in a 12-week period is a good kickoff, right? It's a
Yes.
good way to get going in the right direction and surround yourself with better thinking, better processes, so you don't have to be where you are. And I think I cannot stress enough how important that is. I love what you're doing. I'm glad you found a career doing what you love, which is just a beautiful thing by itself. So
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way, so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Donna, I'll be right back with you. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. But thank you again, Donna Tashjian.
Yes.
I remembered. I have a great memory, just incredibly short. It's amazing. I'll be right back. If anybody, if you've gotten to this point in the podcast and in the broadcast here on the live YouTube, thank you. We're here to help unleash that entrepreneur, like cut that tide, all the things that really do hold you back. YouTube channel have never been promoted. Give it a subscribe, give it a follow on if you can, and if you like the podcast, what you're hearing, let us know. Give us a nice review on the Spotify, Apple, wherever your favorite place is. And if you don't really like what we're doing, or like to have a suggestion, or even come on the show, you can get me on linkedin.com/n/Thomas Helfrich. Thanks so much for listening. And until we meet again, get out there and go unleash your entrepreneur.